What is going on, y'all? And welcome to the very first episode of the Ronan Show. And before I get into the show, allow me to introduce myself. You want to know who you're going to be listening to for hours on end, right? So nice to meet y'all. My name is Ronan Bell, and I'm from a small town called Collegeville, right on the outside of Philly. I graduated from Springford High School in 2019, where I played basketball, and now I attend Penn State University, and I'm an accounting major. But I also do some pretty cool stuff here as well. I'm currently on the Penn State cheer team, and I'm basically I lift girls up in the air for a living. So I guess you could say I'm living most 20-year-olds' dreams, right? But I'm a regular dude. I'm human just like y'all out there, and this is where I lead into the actual premise of the show. Basically, what I'm trying to say is this show really ain't about me. So I want whoever is listening to me right now to listen very closely to the definitions I'm about to read you. So I got two definitions right here. I have smart, and that's having or showing a high degree of mental ability. Then I get into the other definition, which is wise. It is characterized by wisdom, marked by deep understanding, keen discernment, and a capacity for sound judgment. And if y'all don't know what discernment means, don't worry, I didn't either. But this is a very critical word in the definition, so let me define discernment for y'all. Discernment is the quality of being able to grasp and comprehend what is obscure. So let those words sink in for a second. I'll give you a moment. All right. So smart and wise, most people use as synonyms. But if you really think about it, they aren't really the same. My perspective on it is a little bit different than most people, though. So let's just take a step back and let me explain what I believe the difference to be. So notice how smart's definition says high degree of mental ability. What I perceive as smart is someone that can obtain a lot of knowledge. People like doctors that know every single thing about the human body. People like lawyers who know every possible thing about law, how it's made, all that type of stuff. Both of these people, I believe, can learn an insane amount of things from textbooks and learn a lot about information from the internet. All that kind of jazz. And believe me, I'm not trying to discredit any of the doctors or lawyers out there, because whatever y'all doing, I respect every single bit about it. But for me, I'd rather be wise. And this is how I kind of get into the premise of the show. And if y'all disagree with me, it's fine. Just let me explain myself first. So wisdom is like the textbook of someone's life. Let that sink in for a second. Wisdom is like the textbook of someone's life. Something that no one really gets to read except the person it actually happened to. So the word wisdom means a lot more than the word smart. Some of the smartest people in the world can be considered wise. Some of the middle people of the pack in this world are considered wise. Anyone on this spinning rock that we all live on has the chance to become a wise human being. If you're homeless, you get my point. You get my point, basically. Now, you might be sitting there asking yourself, what is this dude talking about? Who am I to say? I'm 20 years old. I'm just like most of you guys out there, some of the viewers out there, some of the people listening out there. There's really, really nothing special about who I am. So this is what I'm trying to say. Being wise is learning about life and its experiences. Listening to people that tell their stories and about how they got to where they were today. What did they go through? You know what I'm saying? Like some people out there that have made millions and millions of dollars, they didn't always make millions of dollars. So how on earth did they get there? How on earth did they get there and be better than that average human being that gets put on this rock? So what hardship have y'all faced? How do I react to a certain situation? Is it normal to feel depressed after so-and-so died? The answer to all these questions will never be found in a textbook. They are found through other human beings. They are learned through discussion, communication, the spoken word. This is what I'm trying to get to. So people that are wise have more life experience than the next person. They really look into things a little bit more. They listen more than they talk. They observe more than they actually see. And that's the thing that I'm trying to get to all of y'all out there, is that being wise is way more important than being a smart human being. I mean, some of those people out there that don't consider themselves smart could be the wisest dude in the room. You know, some of those professors out there that are teaching these high-level courses, like they could be extremely smart. And I'm not trying to discredit them. I respect everything about that. But not every student wants to learn about algebra or English, about like how to write a right essay. You know, what am I doing compared to this other student? How can I get a better grade? You know, what can give me more points? And to me, that's being smart. That's trying to elevate your level of thinking in the classroom, in whatever you do. So I know that at this point, this kind of sounds like a rant, but I just want y'all to think about it. Imagine you talk to someone who, let's say, got cut from a basketball team, but the next year they made it. Say you yourself haven't made the team the past 2 years. What would be the reasonable thing for that person to do? You know, maybe talk to the kid and listen to what he did to make the team, right? Like, I'm not crazy. I mean, if someone's better than you at something, why not listen? You know, someone who's experienced something a little bit more than you have, you know, why not listen to them, see what they've done to become the person they are today? And what did they work hard? I mean, like, what's the difference between you and them? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know we're all human beings, but some people got a higher level of thinking than others. Some people have been through more stuff than like someone else. And that's where it gets to be the difference between someone who's smart, wise, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know, that kid probably worked his tail off that got cut from the basketball team and then, you know, made it the next year. And, you know, that kid who hasn't had that experience, you know, of making the team, I'd go talk, like, that kid probably wants to go talk to the kid that did make the team so he can find out how he can make the team. I know I know that's a little scrambled, but just bear with me, okay? This is my first time doing this. So I want to bring this to, like, you listeners. And I'm going to try and bring people on this show and interview them about what they've been through. How can y'all listening out there, how can you guys benefit from someone else talking? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'll bring it up a lot. I'm 20 years old. You know, I haven't gone through everything in life. I mean, there's a bunch of things that, like, under the sun that I probably will never get to experience, that y'all probably will never get to experience. So if you bring someone in and you talk to someone who has experienced these greater things in life, you can probably learn a lot. And this is stuff, again, this is stuff that you cannot learn in any textbook or any book or any article on the internet. It's about learning from the person who's actually experienced, you know. And no one should have this whole life thing figured out. People who are 100 don't even understand things in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll never totally understand everything that's about to happen in this whole life thing that we're going through. And that's why I want to get across the point that all of y'all out there are just like me. Just like that next human being sitting next to me, you know. People have been through so much at 20 years old, like more than I have. I mean, there's a lot of things that really transpire between, you know, the wisdom that you can obtain from someone just by simply communicating, using that gift that us humans have of language. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I want y'all to kind of understand that my perspective on life is just trying to become more wise, you know, talking to people. You know, you see some random dude on the street, like, that's down. I mean, like, what do you think that they're going through? That thought can run through your head. Like, what is making them feel this type of way? If you sat and talked to them, I'm sure that they'll give you an answer. Say, you're talking to some homeless dude on the street. He says, I don't have any money. Like, it's really sad if you think about it. Like, not like a lot of people listening out here won't really have gone through the ringer like these people have that are just living out on the street. And if you talk to these people, like, you'd be surprised to see what they have to say about just life in general. Like, they could be homeless, they might not have one meal a day, and they can still be happy. And you're saying to yourself right there, like, how the hell could I be homeless and just can't even fill my stomach, can't be like, I'm not drinking enough water, I can't even go get a bite to eat, I don't have any money, but they're still happy. And this is the thing that where one of us would go up to someone on the street and be like, make a quick judgment and be like, well, this dude's got nothing to offer. What's this dude doing? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. Being able to learn things through conversation by listening to someone else and just really obtaining what they've gone through. I'll give you this example. When those people with grandparents out there, I'm sure that they've told you things about like their past, what's happened and what was it like living 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago? How is it? What's it like living without a cell phone? I mean, pretty much my entire life, I've had a cell phone in my hands. I've been able to communicate with someone instantly. My grandparents, my parents, when they grew up, I mean, they were writing letters. Like, when that first telephone came out, they used to have a bag phone. My mom told me this, so, learn a little bit wisdom from my mom. Shout out to Darabelle. And and if you just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how is life? I mean, these people nowadays take that for granted. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was it like back then compared to right now? How much has life changed? How much has the perspective on, life changed through 20, 30, 40 years? Because I know right now that I couldn't imagine not having cell phone. I can't imagine. If I didn't have a cell phone or anything, I probably wouldn't even be able to record this podcast right now. You know what I'm saying? So when next time you talk to someone who's a little bit older than you, someone who you figure that is like a little bit more in depth, has learned a little bit more about life than you have, my challenge to y'all out there is to basically just listen. Actually pay attention. Put your cell phone down for 5 minutes. You don't even gotta take notes. I'm not telling you to take this like a class. My college professors always tell me, you gotta take notes on this, you gotta take notes on that. This will be on the exam. Like, there's no test, there's no exam, there's none of that. But what there is life. Do you guys get what I'm saying? I mean, I don't expect a response. This is a podcast, so. But I'm trying to get you guys to think that, you can learn a lot from other people by just talking, by just simply listening to the next person. Again, you don't gotta take notes. Just understand, comprehend what they're saying. So now I'm gonna try and get you a little bit more deeper into that. This show is something that I believe hasn't really been done. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's trying to like learn about something else. They're bringing people on the show. They're asking the basic questions like, you're rich and famous, congratulations. Like, but how did they get to where they're at? Like, that's what I want to know. I mean, people like LeBron James, I wouldn't ask him questions about his basketball career. I'd ask him questions on, hey man, what was it like growing up in Akron, Ohio? What was it like not being able to, get 3 meals a day? Because that's something, personally for me, that I haven't experienced. I lived a great life. I mean, my parents always had food on the table for me, and that's something I'll never take for granted. Like, I know what it's like to live with a roof over my head. Some people out there don't get to experience that. So this show is more about learning from other people, really getting to know perspective. You know what I'm saying? Some people out on the street that, they got a way different perspective on life than I do. You know what I'm saying? The more you know, the more you'll be able to understand. So a perfect example is, I'm a white guy. I'm never gonna get to experience the racism and everything that's going out all around the world right now. Around the United States, because I'm not black. But the thing is, if I talk to someone and try and learn, if I talk to someone out there who's been through that, who's experienced racial injustice, that will better me. Because now I know, maybe I shouldn't say this, maybe I shouldn't say that. You know what I'm saying? So, next time that you're trying to learn something, try and learn about the other perspective. Gary Vaynerchuk, we all know who he is, multimillionaire, loves to give advice on life, and I'm with there. I always listen to what he has to say because I feel like I can learn something. Gary V brings up this point of empathy, really understanding what someone else is going through, and putting yourself in someone else's shoes for a change. We live life as only our perspective. What if you didn't? What if you tried to put yourself in someone else's shoes today? Truly understand what they're going through. Next time, this is something that I've always done. So when someone's walking behind me and I'm about to open the door, I hold the door open for them. Now, I don't know what that person's going through that day, but, that little act of kindness could change their whole mood. And that's what I'm going for y'all. I'm trying to teach you guys that there's more to life than a textbook. There's more to life than getting an A on a test or getting a good job. There's so much more that y'all can experience from just other people out there and just listening, understanding what someone else is going through that day, and really understanding what makes them feel that type of way. And the thing is with that is, imagine you're having a bad day. All right, we've all been there. Not everyone's perfect, not everyone's happy-go-lucky all the time. So what if you were having a bad day and someone opened the door for you? I know it's not a lot. I probably won't brighten up your day entirely, but someone did something nice for you, and you probably don't even know that person. You probably don't even name. You don't know anything about that person, but they had the kindness to do something so little, so frugal, so insignificant at the time, but to someone who's having a bad day, that could change their day around. That these little things can make a huge change. And I'm gonna bring it back. Let's think about the little things that people say. The little things that people say can teach you so much. And the people that I'm going to be bringing around onto this show and I'm going to be interviewing, it's not going to be the most famous people out there. I mean, hopefully one day it will, because this is just the beginning, right? This is the start. Just imagine these people and learning from their experience about something that I probably will never go through, or maybe I haven't gone through yet. Hell, I'm 20 years old. I don't even know what it's like to go to a bar yet. It's things like that. Situations that people haven't experienced yet. The listeners on this podcast and are viewing on YouTube just can't fathom to think about. Most 50 and 6-year-olds, if they're lucky, they still got their parents. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not trying to bring a damper on the mood or anything. But what I'm trying to say is that, imagine they're 50 years old and they lost their parents. You know what I'm saying? Or you're 25 years old and you lost your parents. You lost someone that was really close to you, and now you're just thinking like dang, like what am I supposed to do now? And I guarantee that there is someone else out there that has gone through the exact same thing that you have. And if you went to go just talk to that person, I can guarantee that if you listen and you try and comprehend on what they're saying for 5 minutes, you don't even gotta be talking to them that long. You will be able to learn a little bit about how to deal with certain situations. I'll give you a perfect example. So originally I wasn't going to go into anything about myself, but I think that this is going to be a good example for, the interviews to come about other people who are going to come on this show. So I'll give you a perfect example. So I joined the Penn State cheer team as just a basketball player. Like I've never experienced anything like what cheerleading is before. I didn't even know it was like really a sport. And as I kept doing it, as I kept talking to, my coaches, I slowly started to learn more and more about the sport, like understand a little bit more. I have a newfound respect for not just because I'm a cheerleader, but I just found a newfound respect for those people out there that don't get credited for what they do because there's this huge stigma around it. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if I was never a cheerleader, if I never talked to these people, I would have the same notion. I would have the same perspective. Oh, this is stupid. Like, is this even a sport? Like, what are these girls doing out on the court just dancing around? Like, I know some people won't agree with this example, but this is my personal experience. I learned so much about something from someone else. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to do out there. You know what I'm saying? Just focusing a little bit more about how someone really learns something without, reading a textbook, telling me to do this math equation. Cheerleading's not something that I was gonna read a whole lot about, because honestly at that point I didn't care. I was just hanging out with people that I thought that were cool because they were on the cheer team and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But as I got to really experience what it was like, I learned so much about a sport. And in the grand scheme of things, no one can ever take that away from me. The wisdom that you guys learn, no one's ever gonna take away from you. That stuff sticks with you for forever. Little life lessons that can be so insignificant at the time, but when you're brought the situation, you might go back and say like oh my gosh, like that person that I talked to 2 years ago really knew what they were talking about. It's even hard to put into words about what I'm trying to explain, but I hope you guys are understanding a little bit of something. Remember, this is my first time doing it too. I'm trying to become wiser. The only way I'm going to learn about how to do a podcast is by doing a podcast. There's no written rule on how this is supposed to go, but through this experience, I'm going to learn something. All right, the challenge for all y'all out there, go talk to someone that you might not have ever talked to. You could be in at Penn State we have the commons, where the common area where everyone goes to. I know it's COVID time, so stay 6 feet away from that person, wear your mask, you know what I'm saying? But just sit down, just try and have a conversation with someone that you haven't before. It might not be the person that you'll hang out with ever. And that's okay. Because you can learn something from someone else. Us, we're all human beings on this earth. No one's, at the grand scheme of it all, like no one's really that different. We all had that same chance of being put on this spinning rock. Trying to just, learn more, like how to figure out, all right, where am I going to go to college? How do I get my first job? And how am I going to do this? How am I going to study for this test? We're all the same. We've all been through it. No matter who it is out there. I'm sure most of y'all have been through high school. You guys have that experience. Remember when you were that freshman and you were talking to those seniors and they told you something about high school and you kept doing it? That's what I'm talking about. Like imagine you just took that sense and brought that to other things in your life. It might not be school. It might not be school. It could be literally anything, just learning something each day about something other than algebra. How do I write? What's MLA format? You know what I'm saying, guys? So, my challenge to you is go talk to someone new. Go talk to someone who you would never actually talk to. He's not your friend. She's not your friend. You don't actually know who this is. And it sounds crazy, but it's true. I've worked with several people just doing like part-time jobs, typical high school, college kid does. And I didn't learn so much about what it was the job, like what was the job, what did the job teach me. I learned way more about life through the people that I've met. Some of these people that I've worked with, are trying to pay for their kids' child support, trying to put a roof over their kid's head. And as a 20-year-old, as a young kid, you don't think about that. You don't appreciate the grind like these people do. You don't appreciate the money that these people do. That $20 tip that you might give that waitress or waiter can do way more than like you guys think. So and I'm gonna try and wrap this up. I want to keep this first episode short and just kind of like give you the basis of what I'm trying to get across. So what I want you all to do now is just take what I've told you, comprehend it, listen to this back once or twice. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're never going to learn something the first time around. Sometimes you got to look a little bit more into it. And I want y'all to just try and learn something from what I've said. Just one thing. And if that happens, to me, I've accomplished my goal. So to conclude this whole podcast, I want you guys, so I'm going to be bringing on people to this show who've been through a little bit more than I have, have experienced things that me or you or anyone out there might not have experienced yet. I'm going to be trying to bring on people that's, traveled the world, people who are a little bit older than me. Like, what's it like raising a child during this time? Things that can benefit you from like not having them worry about how you're going to do on a test. How you're going to do on that. No, this show is nothing about this. I want you guys to try and learn about life. Learning more about life. I know I've said it a lot this podcast, but that's what I'm really trying to get you guys to do. Just try and listen. So I'm going to do as my best to try and give you people that, I think you can all learn from something, like a little bit at least. And I want you guys to take that and really, really just listen. Listen, put your phone down and just listen for 30 minutes. So to conclude this podcast, I just wanted to say, just all y'all have a great rest of your day, and just keep on keeping on. All right, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Oh.